I have a question.
There we go. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Horvitz. I'm a guest here. My wife is on the board of the PIO. I'm a professor in the College of Education, professor of educational technology. But I hear from my wife constantly about the situation with part-time instructors and the challenges and opportunities. I wonder, this is related to the previous question, are you open to ideas about how to reward part-time instructors, to make them feel a greater level of respect and recognition that they're a part of the campus? I know that for us folks, we have job security, there's all sorts of professional development opportunities, there's all sorts of internal grant opportunities, there's the, we get the opportunity to get tenure, so we have that, we can rely on our jobs. Are you open to coming up with creative ideas to make these people who, as we repeated before, give so much to the university, to make them, which would, I'm sure, give them energy, and the energy will be transferred over to our undergrads and to all of our students. So are you open to ideas to reward them and to make them feel that their work is better respected and make them feel that they are recognized as major contributors on campus?
So I want to be careful because I know we just have a contract, and so I don't want to say I'm tearing up the contract and Ed unilaterally going to decide what the pay structure or reward structure is that was collectively negotiated. So and we just signed the contract with AUP, and so I want to be respectful of the contracts that we've agreed to and entered into with our collective bargaining partners and those structures that came out of those contracts. Having said that, if I am serious, and I am serious, that we're the institution of choice, a group that I mean us to be the institution of choice for is faculty and staff. And so that means, yes, I am open to things which will enhance the morale of the faculty and staff at Western Michigan University. And don't pretend that I have all of the ideas of what's the right one to do. There's history in the institution about what may or may not have been tried and what were the things that bumped heads. And so let's not bump our head on something we bumped our head 10 times before. I've been in other jobs where I thought, I've got the ideas. And guys said, yeah, we tried that 10 years ago and 5 years ago and 4 years ago. And it didn't work any of those times, but maybe this time it will work. So let's not do that. But let's also not be captive of this just because we always did it this way. That's not a rationale for why we continue. That's a rationale for us doing nothing and be stagnant. So yes, I am open. That's part of what I hope to get out of these dialogues are ideas from you about what we can do better as an institution to make this a place where people feel that they're rewarded and they want to contribute back to, and that is a virtuous cycle. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the sky's the limit and everything's going and there are no constraints. But yeah, I'm open.
Dr. Montgomery, thank you. Since you brought up the contract, my reading of the contract is that it specifies minima for what we will be paid for instruction. And I think some of what this issue has to do with is service. It varies a lot by department, but a lot of us get asked to serve on student committees, et cetera, and most of us are very glad to do that. But since we're not officially compensated for any of that, since there's no structure for recognizing us, for compensating us, or anything else, I think that maybe the question is, would you foresee, and I don't think changing that would violate our current contract, it would just involve a different kind of relationship with the university, perhaps on an ad hoc basis. If we're going to do more service for the university, can you foresee using some sort of mechanism to change how we do things now? I mean, we are here, many of us are fulfilling service roles. We're not getting anything more than our own gratification and maybe the thanks from colleagues and selected administrators, but it's not showing up in our pocketbooks.
So universities, I came from Georgetown. Georgetown just unionized its adjunct, called the adjunct faculty there, and are in the process potentially of unionizing their full-time non-instructional faculty. Instructional faculty. The issue about service came up at the campus, and the way that campus did is they rewrote everybody's contract to make service a mandatory part of your job. They didn't change the compensation. They just said service was now part of your job. So there's a solution to the challenge that you pose, which I would imagine you would not view as a positive development, and obviously that would have to be something. I don't think I could unilaterally impose that. That again would have to be something that would be negotiated. I don't know. I don't see that necessarily as a positive development. Okay. I have a generic qualm, and this is not just with part-time faculty, with tenure-track faculty, of the campus going into what I think is a downward spiral of having to pay everybody piece rate for everything that they do. I think the spirit of what a faculty member isn't five different tasks, and if you do 2 units of X and 1 unit of Y and 3 units of Z, that adds up. And so I am leery of setting a model where that everything that you do is monetized and gets a dollar reward associated with it. Now the question then is there nothing in between, no reward, and monetizing and paying everything? And I think there's things that are potentially in between. And the question is, how much service? When does it become more than, oh, I saw a student in my office, right? Because if you say I'm going to pay service,
just to be clear, I'm not talking about that.
No, I'm not saying you are. What I'm saying
our contract
is,
says we're supposed to do office hours, like
right, but the extreme of service is in the piece rate world is you count everything and you do the things that get a reward. And so if I give you 10 units of reward for that, people will find, some people will do the spirit of it, and others will do the abuse of it. So the question is, how do you find a structure that makes sense so that people are treated fairly and have an incentive to want to participate in the life of the campus? And to me, the preferred mechanism to do that is to make sure I'm paying you a good enough wage that you're willing to participate in the life of the campus, rather than getting into paying for each individual activity. Now, there may be some set of activities that are big enough, that are discrete enough, that are measurable enough that you might say, okay, that much like with department chairs. When somebody, most universities, I assume they do here, becomes a department chair, they may get an administrative increment for that set of activities. That's a set of discrete activities, and we can put a value on it, and there's a broad agreement on who has done it and who hasn't done it. That doesn't mean all department chairs are great and that they all do the job, but there's something like that. So there could be a class of things like that where we could come to a conversation and say, you know what, yeah, that's something that you could put a dollar on. But I guess I start off skeptical of wanting to do it for everything that could count as service as the activity, and we could have a conversation between